This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbot.
Oh, right, yeah. Right, so what are we doing?
The weather. This summer was one of the hottest on record, and it was also one of the wettest, too. Hot and wet like a wrestler's costume. Figures from the Met Office show the 3 months from June to August were the UK's 12th hottest summer on record, as in ever, ever, ever. With periods of sweltering heat, including a new high for the country of 101.6 degrees Fahrenheit, and you double it and add 32 to get centigrade. So double 101.6 is 202.12. And 202.12 plus 35 is 235 degrees centigrade. Wow, that seems steamy. 235 degrees centigrade. It's a new world record. As for the UK as a whole, as in, of course, these days, I'm going to have to spell that out for you. That's WHOLE.
Affirmative.
Whole. 2019 was the seventh wettest in records, going back to 1910, whenever that was. Compared to the average for 1981 to 2010, Cheshire had 179% of its average rainfall for the season. Northumberland had 174%, as in lots. Derbyshire, where residents had to be evacuated from Whaley Bridge over fears that a dam could collapse following heavy rain, they had 173% of the average rainfall. Unless you don't believe in science, in which case you can ignore all of this, but it looks like global warming to me. Or climate change. Can't say global warming now because people are saying, well, it's a bit chilly out, so it's not global warming. You know, even really, really smart people who know a lot about the weather.
I know a lot about wind.
Scotland had its wettest summer on record, only surpassed by 1985. That's the figures from the Met Office are showing this. The Met Office's National Climate Information Centre chief, Tim, said, overall, summer 2019, the 12th warmest on record since 1910. But unusually, this summer was also relatively wet. Wasn't that exactly what they said that was going to happen? As it got warmer, so it would also get wetter. Southern England and Wales endured the heaviest rainfall in June, whereas Scotland and northernmost parts of England saw the heaviest rainfall in August. It is always, of course, raining in Glasgow.
Correct.
I bet it's raining right now. I can check for you while you wait. Well, the weather for where I am is up and down. 63 on Sunday, 59 and raining on Monday. But a tickle of warmth on Thursday, back up to 71. Ooh, and sunny in most parts. Whereas in Glasgow, it will be cloudy tonight, cloudy tomorrow, cloudy on Sunday, and raining on Monday, and cloudy on Tuesday, and raining on Wednesday, and cloudy on Thursday, and Friday, and Saturday, and Sunday, and Monday, and Tuesday, and Wednesday, and Thursday. But not a lot of rain. Like 4 days in the next 2 weeks. Wow. 4 days in 2 weeks, it's going to rain in Glasgow. Can you believe that?
No.
A very stable milking stool tweets, I'm genuinely happy that it's now 10 p.m. Okay. I can take criticism, but not praise. I'm funny like that. So do you want to know the weather forecast for the next, the rest of this month?
No.
Okay, until Friday the 20th of September, cloud and rain clears during next Wednesday, with sunny spells and showers following. Winds will ease in the south. There's going to be periods of rain, interspersed with the occasional drier and brighter interludes. It will be windy, especially in the north, where there will be gales at times. Temperatures are likely to range from around normal to somewhat below. It will feel quite autumnal. Autumnal?
Oh, no.
Southern areas may see above average temperatures at times. And for the back end of this month and into the first week of October, it'll probably start unsettled and sometimes windy. Drier and brighter interludes in the south and the southeast. Occasional spells of wet and windy weather, but we could see some spells of drier and warmer weather at times. Drier and warmer, we'll take it. Right, what a blooming week it was, eh? God, it was hard to keep up. So it was a packed few days. After only 7 weeks holiday, Our hard-working members of Parliament were back at work on Tuesday, not Monday. The nerve. Tuesday, they came back. Not Monday, as you would expect after a long break. And, of course, they left early as well, today, Friday, so as not to, tire themselves out. I mean, it's not like there's anything going on, really. So 7 weeks off and then a 3-day week to get themselves back in the swing of things before sloping off for another 3 weeks holiday after next Friday for what they call conference, if indeed that is what they're going to have. And conference, by the way, in case you were wondering, is a drunken jolly in some faded seaside resort where they take the most nubile and pulchritudinous assistance in the hope of a drunken fumble away from work.
Disgusting.
It's all work, 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 ain't it?
No.
And they managed to pack an enormous amount into such a short time this week. Boris Johnson lost every vote that was put forward. He lost the vote to stop Parliament from taking back control, which you would think that the Leavers would be all for. I thought that's what this was all about. But they don't want Parliament to take back control. They want Nigel Farage to take back control.
I'm a nutcase.
Anyway, he lost that vote. He lost the vote to stop Britain leaving the EU without a deal, which Leavers are furious about, despite telling us before the referendum that we would definitely get a deal. And he lost the vote to have a vote in a general election, which he might have won had he not sacked almost 24 of the most conservative of Conservatives, including the grandson of the man that he wants to be more than anything else, Winston Churchill. Then he made a right muppet of himself at Prime Minister's questions when he gurned and flailed and acted like he was drowning on dry land. And then his right-hand man, Private Pike, affected to fall asleep, sprawled across the benches like a 10-year-old schoolboy who was trying to impress his classmates by seeing how much he could get away with. And like all haughty, naughty boys from the Victorian era before him, he should be bent over a desk by the master for a damn good thrashing. Thank you, sir. May I have another? And then Pike spent the rest of the week trying to act imperious after his attack on a perfectly fine doctor, and he ended up backed into a corner eating crow. And I quote,
I am very sorry that I screwed up. Totally I mean, I am so sorry. You just don't know how sorry I am. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's difficult to act superior in a position of supplication. And then the Prime Minister came over all presidential and decided it was a good idea to give a Trump-like rambling speech in front of a massed rank of uniformed police persons to project a forceful image and to co-opt the cops to his cause. Whereupon he arrived late, surprised all there by giving a speech they weren't expecting, and caused a police person to wilt and almost pass out, quite possibly with boredom, as he chuntered aimlessly on like he was being paid by the word. Just like his best buddy Donny. I mean, what next? Boris is going to paint his face orange and order an Eastern European bride off the internet and tell us what a smart person he is.
Oh, shut up!
And then he went to Leeds and was stunned into silence by a man in the street wanting to know why he was campaigning in Yorkshire for an election we weren't going to have, instead of getting on with the job of, running the country and getting a deal from the EU that he said he wants, but he clearly doesn't. And the look on the Prime Minister's face was a picture. The Scream by Edvard Munch. Meanwhile, back in London, the old Tories with centuries of service to their party behind them, who he'd sacked in his first week on the job, were sitting on the benches boring holes in his back or crossing the floor to join other parties, as other Tories were calling for their reinstatement. And Theresa May was trying not to laugh her head off, pointedly sitting next to Ken Clarke, the longest-serving member of the House, also freshly sacked from his own party. And Boris Johnson's own brother said, right, that's it, I'm leaving. In the greatest example of public fratricide since the Miliband brothers had at it. And then his sister said, the only one of the Johnson family who thinks Brexit's a good idea is her older, dishevelled brother. Be honest, Boris. How's the first week in the job been? Was it everything you've dreamed of? I'll take that as a no.
Yes.
Meanwhile, Nigel Farage seems to be performing a reverse takeover of the Conservative Party, which, if he is allowed to do, could consign him and them to the dustbin of history. If only the opposition parties could agree on anything other than it really is awful and something should be done. And so we're looking at asking the EU for another delay, which they might justifiably refuse, because what did we do with the last delay they gave us? Our lot went on holiday straight away. Why on earth should the EU allow us to prolong all this without having any idea what to do with the extra time? And through it all, the only international leader who is behind the Prime Minister is Donald Bloomin' Trump, who thinks that Brexit will be huge and tremendous. If the only man on earth who thinks that you are doing a great job is a serial bankrupt business failure and moral vacuum, who thinks wind power gives you cancer, and that coal is clean, and that global warming is a hoax because it's cold in the winter, then maybe you aren't doing a very good job. And all of this is because David Cameron wanted to bring his party together in unity and harmony. How's that working out, by the way?
Oh, fabulous.
0345 6060 973. You can text 84850. Email nick@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, it's at LBC. Friday and Saturday night at 10, Nick Abbott, LBC.
LBC. This is LBC with Nick Abbott. Call 0345 6060 973. Tweet at LBC. Text 84850.
Would you mind telling me what this is all about?
Scott says the current state of politics has become the greatest entertainment. Why waste all those hours trying to find a show to binge watch on Netflix when you can just engage with politics and laugh yourself to death? Also, if Boris Johnson called Cameron a girly swat, then can I call Johnson a dithering hemorrhoid in Trump fancy dress? Hemorrhoid spelt wrong, if you can believe that. I'd be amazed if it wasn't. Julie says, please can you talk about Boris and Donald tonight? Pretty please. Well, I don't know. I'll see if I can squeeze a mention of either of them in. Oh, Wimbledon, Nikos.
Hello, Nick.
Yes,
Thanks
sir.
for having me. How are you?
Great, mate.
So I would like to talk about two things, if that's okay with you.
Well, let's see how the first one goes.
Okay. So the first thing is a presenter on LBC earlier said something which is not accurate enough.
Oh, my God. You heard some misinformation on this station?
Yeah, I can't believe it. So they said that the no-deal bill that was passed by the opposition, it was giving no chance. So the EU would give the date they want us to leave, and we will have no say. That's completely inaccurate. The bill was saying that the Prime Minister cannot say no to the date, but the members of the Parliament can. So if Boris Johnson brings it back to the Parliament, they can say no to the date that the EU will give. So the thing is, by saying such things, I mean, people should look it up, should look and read what the bill says.
I will not look it up.
So the problem is that by saying such things, you're winding up Brexiteers with false information. And this is how we have all these tensions in this country.
Winding up Brexiteer. I think they're wound already. They're fully wound like an alarm clock.
Well, they are, but how are they wound up? I mean, how did they end up there? That's the thing. If people keep giving such information, that's the problem. In fact, I did call on LBC 2.5 hours before the end of the show. I did say I want to mention about it, and LBC never called me back. I wonder why. Anyway, let me say about the second thing now, which is equally important, I believe. So, well, you'll tell me. So the thing is, I think Nigel Farage, I mean, it's obvious, has a lot of power in his hands now. And the problem is as follows, that the opposition is totally, as you said earlier, they can't agree on pretty much anything, except for anyway.
Yeah, they know what they don't want, but they don't know what they do want.
The problem is because there is a big possibility there will be elections. You will have the opposition, Labour, Lib Dem, SNP, Greens, etc., and they will all be divided. And we have a first past the post system of elections. And you will have Nigel and Brexit Party and the Conservatives running. And what's going to happen is all Nigel has to do is a few days before the election, a few days before the actual elections, to say, hey guys, he can just ask all his voters to vote for the Conservatives, and suddenly you will end up with a 40% and winning the election, simply because there will not be any coalition before the elections between the opposition. And it's a very simple thing that they can do and win it. It's so simple.
Well, assuming that all of his fans will do everything that he says, and that's entirely possible, yeah.
Yes, but the thing is, the opposition is divided, so I think it's very likely that this election is going to be won by the Conservatives.
Yeah, well, we'll find out, eh? Isn't it
We'll find
exciting?
out, but we need to discuss about it. They need to be aware of the scenarios. I don't know if they think of the scenarios. They didn't seem to think about it when we have the European elections, and the danger is grave. And you know what? I saw this week Conservative MPs, throwing away their career because they cared more about the nation than their career. So my question is, if the Lib Dems, the Greens, the Labour, Plain Cymru, etc., SNP, care more about their careers or the country? We will find out soon, I think.
Yeah, I guess. All right, thanks a lot, Nikos. 0345 6060 973. I mean, he was a nice fellow. It just seemed to go on forever, didn't it? Let's have Feltham. Hello, John.
Hello there.
Hello there.
I'm the token caller who wants to talk about climate change.
Ah.
Yeah, when there's a Brexit story, 90% people want to talk about Brexit. The South has still a drought.
What?
In the South. And the water company says...
There's a drought?
In the South, yeah.
No, I don't
still
know.
Here. It's been here for a year.
There's drought? Well, if there was a drought, why isn't there a hose pipe ban?
I don't know why, but the water company said if we don't use 75 less of water,
how much?
There'll be no water in 15 years because they can't build reservoirs because everybody complains about it, and the government agrees with whoever complains about them. So they can't build reservoirs. They're trying very hard, but they can't because the courts say no, you can't.
Rubbish.
And also we're told that Brexit is going to cause food shortages. Well, did you know that in May the EPA in America said because of the mid-central area of America is still flooded where they grow things, and they said that food production could be down by as much as 34%. And because of the heat waves and the droughts in the EU said in August that food production in the EU could be down by as much as 16%.
Right, so we're all going to have to eat a lot less, which would probably be a good idea for most of us. All right, well, thanks for the bad news, John.
Well, that's just the way that it's going on.
Right.
It's going on all around the world.
Okay. Well, there you go. Okay, thanks a lot, mate. 0345 6060 973. Everything's going to be fine. There'll be food on the shelves and there'll be water in your tap. Don't worry about it. Unless there isn't, in which case you should start worrying now. Jimmy says, is this the weather programme? What's the weather going to be like next Tuesday in Colchester, please? Very important day for me. Thank you, Jimmy Colchester. I don't know. Look it up, mate. Have you got an internet near you? Paul says, use centigrade, you girly swat. What is he like? He's just, I don't know. Is he really the best that was available? Boris Johnson is the leader of this country. Can you believe that? I am stunned. Everything else that's been going on, and like that on top, he's the cherry on the cake, ain't he? He's a cherry on top of the dish of eaten mess. What a mess. Chris says, Boris may be down, but he's not out. He may have an ace or two up his sleeve yet. This isn't over until it's over. Hey, Chris, you lost. Get over it. And this anonymous text says, full of positivity again, Abbot, yawn. Says that a very, very positive text from a very brave anonymous person. Let's have Thames Ditton. Hello, Diana.
Hello.
Diana.
Hi, it's the second time I've called. I'm a bit nervous because the first time I called, am I too loud?
No, you're just fine.
Oh, right. Yeah, I called last week to complain about Brexit.
Complain?
And everyone,
Stop whining.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Scott, who texted in, was absolutely right. This week has been a riot. I've thoroughly enjoyed it.
Have you?
Everything has happened.
It's like this country is unravelling like an old jumper.
Oh, I don't know. There's people like
Yes.
slandering other people. There's swearing in the Houses of Parliament. There's every time Boris asks for something, it's no. Can I have this? No. Can I have this? No.
Yeah. And
What about
furthermore...
this? No. And by the way...
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And by the way, your brother's resigned because he doesn't trust you.
Yeah. And his sister hates him. And his father doesn't agree with anything he says. Nobody wants to sit down and have dinner with him. It's just keeps getting worse and
his
worse.
father's a Remainer, isn't he?
I think they all are, apart from him. The only person in that family who thinks it's a good idea to leave is our current leader. But not for too long, I wouldn't think.
But I am worried about him, though, because he has had, like...
You're worried about him?
Really... Yeah, because he's had such a tough week, and it's only his first week.
Could
and
be
Ian, I haven't watched the telly for a couple of weeks, but Theo Usherwood phoned in and said he was looking a bit...
peaky.
Bedraggled, yeah.
Well, he always looks bedraggled, it's his thing, but he looks despondent, which is a look I've never seen on his face before.
It's only his first week, and what a week it's been.
I know, terrible. If he wasn't going to resign, we should give him the sack.
I know. But, no, that's what I was phoning in about. Because, like, last week...
we would have the opportunity to give him the sack if the opposition would agree to a general election, but I think they've decided to torture him. Keeping him at number 10 Downing Street with his hands tied behind him. In fact, they've padlocked him to a radiator, and you know how that ends.
Yeah,
actually, I don't know how that ends. That film, what is it, Saw? Did you see Saw?
Oh, yeah.
Seesaw.
Yeah, I saw all of them.
Did you? Well, I didn't. I saw the first few minutes of the first one. I think the lights, the very beginning, the lights blink on, and there's two blokes in a room tied to a radiator. And I thought, this is not a film for me. This doesn't look like it's going to have a happy ending. So I'll bow out now. And I did. I probably saved myself a lot of heartache and grief. And, bad nights. Hey, Diana. All right, cheers, my dear. Cheer up. But it might not oh, no, that's right. It already has. 0345 6060 973. You can text 84850, email nicka@lbc.co.uk, and if you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. Friday and Saturday nights at 10, Nick Abbot, LBC. Look at the time, it's 10:30. The news headlines with Andy Ivey.
Opposition. Leading Britain's conversation. LBC with Nick Abbott.
Hi, honey. How are you?
Confused. Thanks for asking. This says, I've been suffering from a severe case of wind. The symptoms tend to be more acute in windy weather. I'll be seeing my GP, so I'm not really encouraged by next week's forecast, to be honest, he says. Well, you know who else suffers from wind?
I know a lot about wind.
Yeah, you know who. Tweet him. He'll probably be delighted to hear from you. I called up my GP the other day and they said, well, you can't actually speak to a human being. You have to speak to a machine.
Affirmative.
And they said, would you like to avail yourself of our delightful automatic service so you can book an appointment anytime you blooming well like? And so I go through all this and I punch in my, my password and my date of birth and all the rest of it. And you come out at the end that says, we have no appointments for this time frame. But I didn't give them a time frame. Just the future. So they have no appointments in the future. And so I thought, well, maybe the machine is broken, so I'll ring up and I'll keep pressing a button until I talk to a human being. And eventually I did, and they said, no, that's right, we don't have any appointments. So I was a bit flabbergasted by that. How can a GP not have any appointments, ever? for your convenience. The NHS is is unravelling just like this, like Boris Johnson's administration. It's not a health service anymore, it's an emergency service. If your heart is pounding through your chest and your life is passing before your eyes, then, yeah, maybe they can help. But for anything else, well, we've got no appointments. Yeah, sorry about that. Perhaps you'd like to try France. I am stunned. Chris says, you are, and most of this is in capital letters with 10 exclamation marks, which doesn't mark you out as a bright person, Chris, I've got to tell you. But I'm not stupid. He says, you're an anti-democratic, anti-British traitor. Oh, God. He says, people like you would sell your soul as quickly as you have sold this country out. Morons. We're surrounded by morons. Horsham. Hello, Eddie.
Hi, Nick.
Eddie.
With global, climate change.
Yeah.
The amount of aeroplanes you see in the sky, I mean, because they're so high up, they're near, closer to the
sun.
No.
The moon.
The greenhouse.
Greenhouse gases.
Yep, and so they're higher up. So the CO2 is released higher up, so they're closer to the
moon.
Oh, I've totally forgotten what it's called. The bit where it traps all the heat. Oh, I don't know.
Oh,
well, anyway,
certainly, I'm glad you called.
all of the planes up there, there's hundreds of them.
Yeah, millions.
All releasing CO2, whereas the cars are lowered down to the Earth, and we've got all the trees taking out the CO2.
Yeah.
So, and they don't really mention aeroplanes. I mean, they've mentioned it once about an solar panel plane, but they don't really mention aeroplanes at all.
Well, I don't know where you've been living, Eddie, because the only thing that hasn't been about Brexit in the news this week has been Hazard and Sparkles taking private planes hither, thither and yon.
Yeah, and another thing is... all like the trains used to carry all the cargo and all that through the countrysides and all that.
Yeah.
But now it's diesel lorries which emit more CO2.
Right.
So I think like the trains, they use less because they haven't got friction on the road. So I think like all this transport and people going away on holiday all the time.
Yeah.
I think
why can't people just be happy where they are?
Yeah, I know. Why the people? Well, so I've heard some people say there should be a limit on how many times people go away.
Yeah, and if they break that limit, then they'll have to stay away.
Yeah.
All right, okay, good work. Keep thinking, Eddie. Cheers, mate. Prince Harry is facing fresh criticism for claiming that 99% of the flights he takes are with commercial airlines. 99%, that's what he said. Incorrect. New analysis suggests that 6 out of 10 times he travels by a private jet. And 6 out of 10 is not 99%. It's more like sort of 6 out of 10 is like 75%. It's about 6 out of 10 is about 75%. I think you'll find that's right. The Duke of Sussex. I bet if I went to the street with a clipboard and asked people who the Duke of Sussex is, I bet most people wouldn't have the faintest idea. It's Hazard, out of Hazard and Sparkles. The Chuki Sussex has been accused of hypocrisy for using charter flights 6 times this summer while urging the public to cut their carbon footprint. A member of the royal family asking us to cut down. What a sense of humour. He took a scheduled flight to Amsterdam this week to promote a scheme that promotes environmentally friendly tourism. Well, so presumably he couldn't just pick up the phone because they've got no phones in Amsterdam. Speaking at the event, the Prince refused to apologise for his recent private flights to Italy and France and Spain and all points north, south, east and west. He said, this is a quote, "I spend 99% of my life travelling the world by commercial." Really? He says, occasionally there needs to be an opportunity to fly privately based on a unique circumstance to ensure that my family is safe. It's as simple as that. For me, it's about balance. It's not a decision I would want to take, but if I have to do that, I will ensure that I balance out the impact I have. Oh, come off it. analysis of Hazard and Sparkle's known flights since their wedding last year shows 6 of the 10 trips they took were by private jet, 60% of the total. Occasionally, there needs to be an opportunity based on unique circumstances to fly private, he said. Yeah, because in a unique circumstance when they want to, as opposed to slumming it with the proles in first. Harry dismissed concerns over his carbon footprint by insisting that he offsets his emissions by donating to renewable energy incentives and planting trees. Who's he kidding? The Prince said, I've always offset my CO2. Really? Is that right? He's got to be... he is a member of one of the most wasteful families on earth. Can he even hear himself? They travel by private train, private plane and private helicopter between their various palaces, manors, castles, houses, estates, cottages, lodge, parks and halls, all heated, polished, dusted and staffed, and secured to their precise specifications. If that's living green, I'm a banana. And when quizzed about this, one of his hem-sniffing flunkies said that Harry, when he said that 99% of the flights he takes are on commercial airlines, he said that was just a figure of speech. Liar! Yeah, sure it was. So here's what he's done so far this year. In the last 12 months or so. Last July, a joint official visit to Ireland. Official visit? Oh, please. I mean, all this stuff's just a holiday. A free holiday. It's not even 5-star, it's off the scale. A free 10-star holiday to Ireland, and then they had, in the next month, they had one in Italy. And then a couple of months after that, they went to Australia, New Zealand, Fiji, and Tonga. And then they went to Morocco. And then they went to New York. And then they went to Italy again. And then Hazza went to Sicily. And then they had a holiday in Ibiza. And then another holiday in the south of France, and then he went to Amsterdam. Crying out loud! He works more than our parliamentarians, don't he?
No.
I thought they had it easy. 0345 6060 973. Let's have a call in Fulham. Wendy.
Oh, hello.
Wendy.
Yes, I was just saying. I'll calm down now. I was just saying, it's driving me around the bend, Nick.
What is?
That Brexit and MPs, and it's just driving me around the bend now. I've had enough. I've had enough now.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
And then I didn't see it on the TV, but then I don't know which MP, picked his nose and ate it. Oh God!
Please, who did that?
No, did you not know?
No, I did not know that.
Oh God!
And furthermore, Wendy, I don't wish to know that.
Oh, God. Yeah, I know. Yeah. Oh, I didn't think of that bit. Oh.
Please tell me you didn't do it in the house in the Palace of Westminster, not in the palace, surely.
Oh,
he did it in his car when he was waiting at the lights. Please tell me that's what happened.
He never. Apparently, it was on the TV, or
right.
I heard it on your station.
So he picked his nose and he ate. Well, it's better than he picking his nose and somebody else eating it.
Oh, don't! My stomach's going now. God, my stomach now.
Yeah. Oh.
And another thing. And right, last week. I phoned my nephew and I was just saying, because I didn't look you up to see what you looked like.
Yeah.
And so he said, while I was talking to him, I didn't know you could do that on iPhones. I'm not very good at Anyway, so I saw a picture of you.
Yeah, that's not me.
No, it is.
No, that's not me.
But I nearly fell off my chair.
Yeah.
What?
Sorry about
that. What? I mean, and then the other picture.
Well, no, wait a minute. Why did you fall off your chair?
Well, you had sort of hair. You had
hair.
But you had a wig or something down
my back. I've got hair there. I've got hair here, there, and everywhere, baby.
Not like that, Nick. Not like that.
Well, whatever it is you're describing
please,
is
you're getting
definitely
it
not me.
Right.
Okay.
You know,
It's my fault.
I mean, and then the next picture,
Yeah.
it looked like your halo was on one side. Or was it a pizza?
Okay, I'm lost, Wendy. I've got no idea where we've gone or where
I'll
we're
tell
going.
you. Shall I tell you?
No,
All right.
no.
Oh.
Let's just leave it there. Let's just drop it on the side of the road and leave it there like we just don't care. All right, thanks a lot, Wendy. Did anybody have any idea what that was about?
No.
0345 6060 973. Wes texts, Boris Johnson should be called Blondzilla as he's destroyed everything in his wake since he became PM. Yeah. Of course, he'll be using the Bart Simpson defence. This country was like this when I got here. Hey, Boris.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
Doug says, I'm totally confused. Your mates Corbyn and Abbott have been asking for an election for months, and now Boris has said let's have one on October the 15th, but they don't want one. Boris already has 17 million voters. He'll storm it. No, he doesn't have 17 million voters, and I very much doubt that he would storm it. And they don't want to give him an election for the very good reason that Boris will use it to crash us out with no deal anyway. They want to make sure that eventuality is prevented, and then we'll have a general election. Plus, you don't want a general election to sort out something that's very specific like this. If you really want to sort out what the people think about Brexit now, then we should have a second referendum.
We should have a second referendum.
But of course you'd have to be out your mind to want a second referendum at this point.
We should have a second referendum.
0345 6060 973, Friday and Saturday night at 10. Nick Abbott, LBC.
Hit Nick Abbott on LBC.
Is he crazy, or is that just the way he acts?
Tons of texts and tweets saying that it was Ian Duncan Smith picking his nose in Parliament. Henceforth to be known as Ian Nosepicker Smith. He's so posh, I would have thought he'd have somebody else to do that for him.
Disgusting.
Graham says, Britain Trump looked strong in front of the black uniformed police cadets. Shame the girl cadet, who had a bit of timber on her, fainted. Had a bit of timber on her. What does that mean?
I think that means she should go running a bit more.
Oh, really? Rude. That's very rude. I've never heard that before. Dave tweets, OK, we Brexiteers surrender. I'm going to stop saying Brexiteers because it makes them sound, like swashbucklers. Brexiters. We Brexiters surrender, says Dave. Our last hope of a no deal seems to have been taken away from us. Time to press the reset button and get out of this nightmare. It is becoming a nightmare, isn't it? I mean, it's just absolutely ridiculous. When is this ever going to be over? Can it be over, please? Meanwhile, in Europe, they think we're all a bit nuts, at least according to this next caller, I think, in Gillingham. James.
Hello, good evening, Nick.
James, what do you know?
Perhaps we can have a serious conversation.
I very much doubt it, but you could try.
Oh, I think we can. I was over in the European Parliament on Tuesday and Wednesday of this week.
Yeah, what were you doing there?
I was visiting some MEPs, and I was doing some charity work over there for a charity that I'm involved with. And I was being interviewed for Asian TV network in relation to the ongoing situation in Kashmir.
Yeah. What are you doing, James?
Pardon?
What are you doing?
I am sitting parked up in my car at the moment.
Right, okay. It sounds like you're fiddling about.
Oh, yeah, I'm always fiddling with something. Yeah, so obviously on Tuesday I was in a meeting when Dr. Philip Lee crossed the floor, and they said, what does that mean? I said that means that the government does not have a majority anymore, and and they said, they're totally in a state of disbelief of what's going on in this country at the moment.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And I said, what about, we keep getting told that by Boris Johnson that he's negotiating a great deal, and they said, Theresa May had her red lines. Yeah, well, Boris Johnson's envoy's got a red pen. And he's just going through the withdrawal agreement saying, well, we don't like that bit, we don't like that bit, we don't like that bit, but they're not coming up with any solutions.
Well, it doesn't appear that he's trying at all. He keeps telling us that they're making great strides in the negotiations, and Europe is saying, "What negotiations? What's he talking about?"
Europe are right, because
exchanged a word.
I was speaking to various different MEPs on Tuesday and Wednesday who are in the know of what's going on. I'm not going to name names because that's just being pretentious.
Who was it, James?
Well, I bumped into Kiva Hofstadt.
Pretentious.
That's pretentious, yeah. And other people as well. And then on the Wednesday, when we find out that 21 have been expelled from the Tory party, and then when they look in, who are these 21? I said, Ken Clarke, Dominic Grieve, and they said, all the sensible ones.
Yeah, classic Conservatives.
Yes, the sensible ones. As far as the opposition in Westminster is concerned, I've told them, I've said to them, you should not agree to an election on the 15th because Boris has dug a hole for himself. It's not for the opposition parties to give him a ladder to climb out of it.
Right. Okay. All right. Thanks a lot, James. That's a word from the inside. Louis says, could you please give temperatures using the Kelvin scale when doing the forecast? There's no such thing. I could give you temperatures using the Kevin scale. That I know up and down. Jim says, I'm annoyed as hell, Abbot. The media has been criticising Boris Johnson, saying he looks worn out and grumpy. Don't they realise he has a new puppy in the house? What does that mean? What does that mean?
He adopted a rescue puppy.
Did he?
Yes, to join the cats, Larry.
Did he really? Wow, how come I haven't heard that? Have you got a picture of the rescue puppy? Oh, little puppy dog. That ain't going to get you out of jail, Boris. Trying to curry favour with the general public by proffering as a puppy dog. You're going to have to do a lot better than that. David says, no. Jokes. We don't do jokes. If we did, then I certainly wouldn't read this. That I went to my GP last week complaining of wind and asking if he had anything for it, and he gave me a kite. I wouldn't read that. Listeners with material. Oh no. Brian says that image of the black hole looks suspiciously like an out-of-focus bagel. They won a Super Soaraway prize for a picture of God, it looked like a big bunch of nothing to me. In fact, it was an enormous amount of nothing. More nothing than you've ever seen in your life. Hampton, Matthew.
Yeah, good morning. Good evening.
Yeah.
We've had some nutcases on the show tonight, myself included. But, I mean, what the hell are people going on about? I mean, you've got a woman there a minute ago going on about halos and pizza.
Yeah.
When we're meant to be sticking to the subject, which is Brexit.
This is a very serious programme, Matthew. Thank you for pointing that out.
Yeah. And, well, basically, why are people going on about food shortages?
Yeah.
It's a complete load of cobblers.
You don't know that.
Oh, for me it is. Listen, it's been very entertaining listening to the show, and it's made me laugh loads.
Yeah, but
more near enough as much as the Steve Allen show is, which is something I listen to every day.
Yeah, he's a hoot.
Well, Steve's all right. I like Steve.
When do you ever sleep?
When do I ever sleep?
Yeah, well, you listen to Steve Allen and me. When do you pencil in
sleeping? Well, no, this is the first time I've actually heard you, to be honest. I had an early night at 7 o'clock tonight because I was tired.
Yeah.
Now,
when you say tired, do you mean drunk?
No, tired.
That's what I'm saying.
So basically, 10 p.m. I woke up.
Yeah. 3 hours sleep you had?
Yeah, I've had 3 hours sleep, and no doubt I have another 5 till the morning.
Yeah.
But basically, I mean...
What do you do for a living, Matthew, on such a short period of sleep?
Insurance.
Air traffic control. Oh, insurance.
Yeah. I've been a broker for 25 years.
Okay.
So anyway, to cut a long story short...
Too late.
Food shortages... Food shortages is just a complete way of prolonging the situation.
How do you know?
Well, that's just my opinion.
Oh, because, your opinion is worth nothing in this regard because you're just making it up.
Well, how is yours then?
Well, I didn't express an opinion on this matter. You are...
Yes, but you've had a go at Boris.
Yeah.
Right? Like a lot of people have.
Yes.
But there's also people out there that 52% voted out.
But what's that got to do with food shortages?
Well,
if the government's own people say that there's going to be just thinking positive thoughts will not put food on the table, Matthew.
Yes. Let's stick to the facts. Yeah.
Oh, facts.
3 years ago, or just over 3 years ago, more voted out than voted in.
Yeah, but what's that got to do with food shortages?
Well, why do we should have voted? We should have gone ages ago.
But what's that got to do with food shortages?
I don't know, but why? You just go down the shop and buy some food.
Yes, but if there's not food in the shops...
Oh, come on, mate. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, Matthew, but you're basing that on no information of any kind whatsoever.
Yeah, but do you believe that there will be food shortages then?
Well, if the combined might of the civil service, who have looked into this, armed with actual facts and information, not just a belief
they're
thought
not
up
facts,
off the
though,
top.
Are they? They're predictions.
Well, they're predictions based on facts, whereas yours are just a sort of a religious belief.
No, I disagree.
Yes,
anyway.
This assertion that everything is going to be fine is not based on any information at all other than a wish for it to be so. And I'm amazed I had to point that out, but apparently these days you can't take anything for granted.
This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbott.
Hello.
I think he's betraying a quite stupefying ignorance.
Jeremy Corbyn and the SNP will not back an election taking place before Bozo could be legally required to ask for an extension at the meeting of the European Council on October the 17th. When is this ever going to end? How is this going to end? And the reason that they don't want to do that is because they want to force him to choose between asking the EU for an extension, which he said he wouldn't do, not now, not ever, never, and resigning, which would be... I mean, I don't wish to revel in the misfortune of others, but in his case, I'm going to make an exception. He's been wanting this job for his entire life. Well, actually, he wanted to be ruler of the universe, but that was unavailable, so he plumped for this one instead. How's it going so far, Boris?
Oh, fabulous.
Was it everything you dreamed it would be? He said that he'd rather be dead in a ditch than ask for an extension. But then he'd also said, you remember, that he would lie in front of the diggers to stop a third runway at Heathrow. And then when it came to voting on it, he left the country. He ran away. So you can take his protestations with a pinch of salt. And that anti-no deal law is expected to make it onto the statute book on Monday, which is going to require the PM to seek a Brexit delay, unless he can finagle his way out of it somehow by launching a vote of no confidence in himself. Does anybody have confidence in Boris Johnson?
No.
Including himself, apparently. The stuff that's happening is just amazing, ain't it? You know, he was loving it when he first took over, because he had a free rein, because Parliament wasn't sitting, because they were all off on their jolly holidays. And he was doing all the talking, and he seemed to be in control, right up until Parliament came back and gave him a metaphorical swat round the chops. You know, with one of those dead kippers that he seems to like so much. Gave him a damn good thrashing. And the government's going to hold another vote on Monday in a last-ditch bid to force an election before Parliament is suspended. And I expect he's going to lose that one too. He seems to be addicted to losing. You know, like his best buddy, Donald Trump. How's the winning going, Donald? Or is it whining?
I am the most fabulous whiner. And I'm a whiner, and I keep whining and whining.
Actually, that's not fair. I suspect it's all rather a shock for someone who's been given everything on a plate his entire life. Boris Johnson's just breathed through his first 55 years as though on a cloud of perfume. The cogs greased by money and the sort of contacts that only Eton can get you. And now he's up against the first stiff competition he's probably ever experienced. And the look on his face is one of utter incomprehension.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
And he's vowed to deliver Brexit do or die. With or without a deal on October the 31st. And he's repeatedly said he will not, in any circumstances, ask Brussels for an extension. So that leaves he's either going to resign or there's a workaround. Have you thought about what that might be? He said, I will not in any circumstances ask Brussels for an extension, which leaves open the possibility that he could just ask somebody else to go and ask for an extension. He could just send somebody else in his stead. Well, I didn't ask for it myself. So, and if he did that, if it leaves him to resign, for instance, what are the history books going to say about that? I mean, he'd just be a comical footnote. A pub quiz question for future generations, assuming that there will still be pubs in the future, or history books, in fact. And if on Monday MPs block an election again and a no-deal split becomes impossible, Boris Johnson may have no other choice but to quit, unless he didn't mean what he said, but that can't be. I mean, it's not like he has a reputation for disseminating misinformation, is it? And he's also losing control of his own party, which he thought he had in the bag because he hired a man to keep order. How's that going, by the way?
Dreadful.
Yeah. And now there's growing pressure to restore the whip to the 21 Tories who voted against him, as he voted against the party before under Theresa May. And he's in a right pickle because there's some famous long-serving Tories in their number who would be pretty much guaranteed to keep their seats in a general election, which means he hired a hitman who's shot his master in the foot. This lot couldn't organise a drink-up in the Wetherspoons. It's amazing. And if he's got to back down now and reinstate the 21, how's that going to look? Talk about embarrassing. I'm embarrassed just thinking about it. Imagine what it's like being him. And he's going to go and meet the Queen, or he's probably had a chit-chat with her. I hope she has expressed her disappointment. Let's have Poitou-Charentes. Bonsoir, Sally.
Bonsoir, monsieur.
Comment allez-vous, or something?
Je vais très bien. Up until a little while ago.
Why? What happened?
I've got to have 2 operations, but they're minor, so it's okay.
Okay. Now, how long did you have to wait for your operations?
Well, I see the anaesthetist on Tuesday, and the operation is on the 26th of September, the first one.
And what point... So when did you present the problem?
Last month.
Okay, so in the space of 1 month, then, more or less, you're going to have all of your treatment done and dusted.
The second operation will be 3 weeks later, so yeah.
Right.
More or less, yes.
Meanwhile, in this country, you would still be waiting for the appointment with your GP.
I think that's quite possible.
Yeah, right. I'm telling you it is.
I'm sorry to say.
Well, like I said at the beginning of the show, I called up my GP and they had no appointments. 0. Not just no appointments this week, but ever. I don't know what they do for a living over there, but they had no appointments ever. We can offer you 0 appointments. Thank you for calling.
That is crazy, isn't it?
Yes, madness.
Well, I rang because just before the news, you had the guy on about food shortages.
Yeah.
This week, I've done my usual thing of listening to the exiting the EU committee proceeding.
Oh, my God, that must have been fascinating.
Boring!
You're joking? What do you want to do that for? I mean, well, I know French television is rubbish, but it's not that bad, surely.
Well, the thing is, I quite like to know a few facts, you know.
Oh, well, okay, but we don't wish to deal in facts on this show. We're all about feelings now, baby.
Well, they had on the Director General from HMRC,
Yeah.
who actually retired, I think it was the end of June or beginning of July. And then
He just
there
couldn't
was the
take it
guy
anymore.
The guy from the Retail Trades Association and the guy from the Hauliers Association.
Right, well, these are just experts. What do they know?
Exactly. Well, they were saying that the problem with the food shortages is twofold. Or actually, well, there were three factors that came into it, but there were two major problems.
Yeah.
One is, first of all, the availability of lorries, given that 1/5 of all lorries are likely to be delayed because they won't have the right. This is lorries coming from the UK to the EU, and the reason why that's important is because of congestion at Calais. So lorries coming from the UK will, not all of them will have the paperwork. Those that do will go through on the green lane, and there'll be periodic stops on some of those, but nothing, only a couple of minutes delay, nothing serious. But the 1/5 of all lorries that don't have the right paperwork will have to go into a special lane, and in that lane they will have a delay of between 2 and 8 hours because they will have to be searched. The lorries will have to be searched. And Calais has made provision for an extra 300 waiting places, but that's not going to be enough for all the lorries to be able to turn around. And if they're picking up food, they will have the additional problem of pallets, which if you're exporting fresh produce, you have to have special heat-treated pallets.
Okay.
And if there's any hold-up in any lorries going in any direction,
Yeah.
there aren't going to be enough pallets in circulation.
What, there's going to be a shortage of pallets?
Yes. They're not going to be in the right place at the right time.
Right.
And you can't just make pallets, and you can't use ordinary pallets.
They have to be special pallets.
Yes. Then you've got the added problem.
Pallets is one of those words that if you say it over and over again, it doesn't mean anything anymore. It just becomes like a noise.
Anyway.
Pallet.
Anyway, there's an additional problem.
More?
Well, yes. There's an additional problem that at 2 oil refineries, apparently there will be tariffs charged. 2 oil refineries in the UK. So that petrol will also potentially be a problem.
This is all very negative, Sally. Can you tell us something positive? No.
Not really, no. They didn't have
Okay.
anything positive
Right.
to say.
Mm.
And well, it was very revealing, the whole session.
Yeah, as in depressing.
Yes. And
If
this
you like
was,
food.
Well, I mean, obviously certain foods can be stored, but
not the sort of food that we actually want to eat. Well, I mean, what kind of food can be stored? Like tins of things.
Well, yes, tins of things won't be a problem, but it's fresh produce that you're going to have a problem with.
Fresh produce, my favourite.
And also, apparently, one big salad and spinach producer in the UK, in order to fulfil his contracts in October and through winter, actually imports from the EU.
Salads?
Salad, yes, salad and, lettuce.
Ugh.
And,
well, nobody eats that that stuff. Salads. No, we're not interested in salads. We want burgers and chips.
don't you have lettuce in your burger?
Oh, yeah, well, that is a good point.
Anyway, I forgot what I was going to say now.
Well, thank goodness for that. It's probably going to be equally depressing.
Oh, no, I was going to say, yes. It's bad enough in March, the end of March when it was going to happen. But with fresh food, obviously, coming into season from June onwards, there would only be a short hiccup in the supply of fresh salad vegetables and what have you.
Right. All that muck that people walk straight by in the supermarket on the way to the crisp aisle.
Yeah, it's a bit different in France.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, people are thinner in France. That is absolutely true. So they must be doing something right.
That could have something to do with it, yes.
Can you actually get good French bread anymore, Sally? Because the last time I was in France...
Yes.
Well, no, wait a minute. Because the last time I was in France, you couldn't. I went to a supermarket and I was sorely disappointed because I can remember, it were gone when I was a lad. First went to France, when I was a small child, and the bread that you used to be able to buy there, the baguettes, were super fantastic. It was like drugs. But when I went last time, the only so-called French bread you could get was exactly like the supermarket French bread that we have in this country, which is not French bread. It's not baguettes. It's just white bread in a stick form. Well,
if you go to rural France,
right,
you'll find that supermarkets there have a whole range of this parve, which is a lovely slab of bread.
See, I like the bread that's stale by about 11 in the morning. If you get it at 7 o'clock in the morning,
baguette.
Yeah, then it's stale almost before you got it back from the shop. That's the kind of bread I like.
And it's very crispy.
Mm-mm.
And the next day, it's very soft.
Yes, it's just rock hard. You could bang a nail in with
it. Well, we have a bread van comes around 3 times a week.
Oh, do you?
Mm-hmm. And you can buy just about any kind of bread there.
Right. Well, send them over to our place. That was my duty as on our French holiday. Go down to the bread van. Deux baguettes et un croissant, s'il vous plaît, monsieur. I said as a 7-year-old. Memories, what memories? If only we could get that kind of stuff here, but you just can't. Here, Sally, I'm going to have to go. But thanks for that. 0345 6060 973. Stock up straight away. Excellent advice for everybody, unless your diet consists solely of tubers, of which there will be a plethora, I'm sure. Plenty of tubers to go round, assuming that you actually like that stuff, which, of course, we don't. 0345 6060 973, Friday and Saturday night at 10, Nick Abbott, LBC.
Brexit. This is LBC with Nick Abbott.
Hang about, Nick. Listen. Now, what I'm trying to say to you is this, Nick, right?
Angela says, is your mobile phone still alive or has it passed over to the afterlife? Well, sort of. It is kind of alive. It's alive-er than my car, but I don't wish to discuss that. Jack says, when's the podcast with Carol out? You said September. That wasn't misinformation, was it? No, it most certainly was not. A little while ago, me and Carol decided to do a podcast.
Oh, right, yeah.
And then it's going to be out this month.
Oh, right, yeah.
And that is it's almost a promise. We've got to get the artwork done, which is something that is out of my control. But we've done one already. We're going to do another one next week and another one the week after. And so we'll be dribbling them out. And I think you'll find them amusing. We are doing a podcast called What's Your Problem with Nick and Carol, in which we solve your problems. And if you would like us to solve your problem, then you're going to have to text it. No, email it to us. Email us, baby. And the email address is nickandcarol@global.com. nickandcarol@global.com. If you wish Carol McGiffin and myself to sort out your problem for you. Richard says, I have a large ditch on my small holding which I can hire out for special events. If you hear of anybody who might need one, please let me know. Yeah, well, I do have somebody in mind. Leicester, David.
Can you solve medical problems?
Well, solve is a loaded term. we can talk about them. I don't know about solve.
Well, I'm actually lying in the hospital bed at the moment, but that's a different issue. On Monday, I came in for an operation, and they put a cardiac monitor in my chest.
Yeah.
And
in it.
And what was I going to say? You know the terms and conditions you always read and the disclaimers and everything else before they do operations. Well,
yeah,
most people
death.
just sign it.
Hmm.
And I thought, I'm going to read this. Anyway, it turns out this cardiac device transmits to a box by my bed at night and then transmits the data to the Netherlands. So I said, well, what happens after Brexit? Will you still be able to get the data? And they don't know.
Translates it to the... Why does it send it to the Netherlands?
It just is. That's where the servers are. That's where the company's based.
Right.
So
your heart is beating. Your heart's beating in Leicester, and the information about that is being sent to Holland.
Yeah, and then they send it back to the hospital in Leicester.
Oh well, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, but will that still happen when Brexit happens?
Well, nobody has any idea.
Exactly. Anyway, my thought was all this scaremongering about food shortages.
Yeah.
It's a marketing play, so the supermarkets can put the prices up.
Supermarkets are going to be putting the prices up. They already have done. It's amazing that the prices haven't gone up already because the pound has dropped so much that to import anything into the country costs about 20% more than it used to. And it's only a function of the massive price war that supermarkets are having with each other. It's like a fight to the death that we have been spared any massive increases in the price of living so far. But they can't keep this up forever, so it's coming.
Oh, Mr. Weatherspoon, Mr. Martel, you don't mind me mentioning it on your show, but he now gets all these wines and beers and everything else from outside of the EU, and he actually hasn't raised his prices, so I'm baffled. And if he can do it, why can't the country do it?
Well, I don't know how he's doing it. It seems like another stunt to me to just prove that Britain can make it on our own and all that God save the Queen stuff.
We did 2 world wars on our own.
Oh, for crying out loud! 2 world wars on our own, David. On our own.
No, we survived.
Our own. Oh, come off it. I think it was Tony Blair this week. He was about the only person who said anything sensible this week. Tony Blair, can you believe that?
No.
And when Boris Johnson lost the vote to hold an election, in amongst all those desperate, childish taunts of frit and big girl's blouse, he actually said something sensible. In a rather hangdog defeated way. He said the current stalemate in Parliament is unsustainable, which it is. And this, while the country's been on pause for 3 years, while our elected representatives have been trying to fashion some success out of the failure of the people to understand the modern world, and instead, like that guy, hark back to the black and white World War films, when we showed Jerry what's what. The world is like a schoolyard. It's like a school playground. There's big gangs roaming about, picking on little ones. There's the American gang and the European gang and the Chinese gang, and any little country that's out in the cold on its own is going to get picked on. And that's going to be us, going cap in hand to the unhinged school bully to see if he'll do us a favour. He's not a nice person.
Donald Trump is not a nice person.
And Jacob Rees-Mogg, the Commons leader, confirmed that the government is going to try again on Monday and hold a repeat vote on forcing an election. But that's not going to pass because Uncle Jezza said he'd only agree to that after an anti-no-deal bill has become law. Only then will he back an election. And if it does become law, as seems likely, then that leaves Sir Boris Johnson trapped, unable to get us out, like he promised, and stuck in a corner. I wouldn't have thought it possible, but he must be having even less fun in the job than Mrs. M. And now she's out of it, her reign seems competent by comparison. I bet she wakes up laughing. And if they just agreed to a bloomin' deal, we'd be out by now. And we'd be talking about something else. But oh no, it's a trap, they said. Like they're starring in an episode of blooming Star Wars. It's a trap. So, if the opposition wait to call an election until after October the 31st, Boris is going to have to seek an extension, as required by law. But he said he isn't going to do that. If he wants to remain in Downing Street, though, he will have to do precisely that. And as it's been his fervent desire to reside at number 10 his entire life, he'd be loath to relinquish the prize after having waited so long. But what a position he finds himself in. You know, sometimes you don't actually want what you wished for when you get it. And the polls are quite different depending on which date is the next election will be held on, either before or after the end of October. So I'll come to that in a minute, because the difference is dramatic. God, it just boggles my mind what might happen next. 0345. But wouldn't that be marvellous? If they just said yes to Theresa May's deal, we'd be out and we'd be talking about something else. Instead, 0345 6060 973. Friday and Saturday night at 10, Nick Abbott, LBC. Hey, look, it's 11:30, the news headlines with Andy Ivey.
Opposition.
Abbott on LBC.
What number are you calling from?
0345 6060 973. Stu says, think positive. So we're facing food shortages. On the flip side, obesity is the biggest cost that the NHS faces. So in one fell swoop, we cure obesity and save money for the NHS, which we can spend on knitting woolly hats to keep us warm during the power cuts. Let's have Cannock, Mel.
Hi, Nick.
Mel.
Been a long time.
I know, haven't I been lucky?
Yeah. Couple of things I was going to say. Another referendum would mean the Leavers would have to win twice, and Remainers would only have to win once. Yeah, that sounds democratic.
Well, the first time around, nobody had any idea what they were voting for. Don't tell me that you did, because you just flat out you flat out didn't.
I know exactly what I was voting for, because I was around before we was in the EU.
Yeah, but did you expect this?
No, I didn't.
Right,
know.
okay, so you didn't know what you were voting for.
No.
So now we do know what we're voting for, as opposed to just whatever is in box A. Taking the assurances of various oily used car salesmen that what is in box A is huge and tremendous and great, and is just absolutely stuffed with sunshine and money. And we opened it up, and we thought, oh no, it isn't. We thought when we saw it was in box A. So it was just a bunch of lies and stories they made up. Now we know what's in box A, then we can come to an informed conclusion.
Well, that's obviously, I suppose there could be a lot of very stupid people in the country. But
why do people like you always go to that? I mean, the massive chip on your shoulder is just extraordinary. But and every time it's the same. Oh, but I'm not stupid. No one's calling you stupid.
No,
just because you didn't know what was in a closed box, that doesn't mean to say you're stupid. Uninformed is not the same as being stupid.
No, I voted to leave because I wanted to stop free movement of people.
Well, then you're fresh out of luck, Mel. See, it's exactly as I said. Yeah. You were misinformed. Yeah, now you are informed. Now you can change your mind if we ever get to vote again. But if you're voting to leave to stop the free movement of people, then it's not going to happen.
No, but I can have my say, can't I? That's what democracy is about, isn't it? Having your say.
But you said that you're voting to stop the free movement of people. That's not going to happen with that vote. Any more than you can say, well, I'm voting for us all to have the ability to fly. That's why I'm voting out. That ain't going to happen either.
Well, no, let me speak. I was going to say it's always down to opinion. Your opinion is different than mine. But as for Boris Johnson, they're trying to get him to resign, obviously, because they can't beat him in an election. But that's my thoughts on it. So I'm not really keen on the bloke.
That's not true. That's not why they are refusing.
Well, why would they? Once that's made law that he can't leave without a deal.
Yeah.
Why would they then drag it on till the 31st?
But that's what
Does
they're
that make
saying.
sense?
That once it is law, then game on.
Yeah, but he's already said they're going to keep it. They're not going to let him have an election until after the 31st of August.
Right, in case he tries to finagle his way out of it.
How can he do that if it's in law?
Oh,
Unless
well,
he
he's
wins an election,
already said that he pretty much said that he's going to break the law because he's refused to actually ask for an extension,
No,
even if there is a law saying that he has to.
I think he'll resign.
Well, I don't.
We'll have to wait and see on that.
Yeah, I guess so.
As for the food shortages,
well, let me go back to this. You voted out to have fewer people coming over here, but now you know that is not Boris Johnson's plan. He's already said that he's not going to restrict the number for people that are coming here. Now you know that that's not going to happen. You'd still vote for that anyway, even knowing that you.
Yeah, I vote on a matter of principle.
A matter of
principle. That's my.
But that makes no sense, Mel.
It might not make any sense to you, but I certainly ain't going to vote Remain.
But you're voting out in order to stop the free movement of people. And now you know that that's not going to happen. You'd still vote out, hoping for this. I don't get it. That makes no sense.
I was hoping that they would actually take some notice. But obviously we haven't left yet, so I don't know if they're going to take any notice.
Well, they won't.
Not until after we've left.
I'm telling you they won't.
That's if we ever leave. But
plus, I mean, also, of course, there's more people coming here from outside the EU than from inside the EU, over which we have complete control.
That is a bit of a worry for future generations, but not for me. But before that has any real effect, I'll be long gone. But like I said, as for food shortages and medical supply shortages, I did wonder why, before we joined the EU, why I was stepping over all these dead bodies in the hospitals and the schools and in the streets. You know, that would explain that now. I'm being sarcastic.
Well, or stupid.
So,
one of the two.
Why didn't we have a shortage then?
Oh, for crying out loud, because it was different then, Mel.
What was different?
Because we weren't inside the EU. We didn't have all of these supply chains. Companies hadn't grown up dependent on the trade with the European Union. God, you really need me to explain this? Oy, painful. Lucas says, Bozo thought the Parliament and the EU would easily buy his lies like the Conservative Party did. How did that go, Boris? Says Lucas. John tweets, I heard that the UK is facing a severe sock shortage because Steve Allen has planned for Brexit by hoarding 3 million socks in a silo in Twickenham. And that story was all over my podcast this week. The most recent of my podcasts has got me rummaging around in Steve Allen's sock drawer and other drawers besides. It's called the Nick Abbott Habit. If you have 30 minutes and you wish to be amused, and it's the best of this programme, it's one of my favourite calls. Almost no calls so far this evening is going to make it, I don't think. And I am feeling under the weather. I have a cold if I doze. That's my excuse. What's yours? Honestly, can you? It just blows my mind the silly things that people say. Oh, things were all right in the 1960s. Therefore, if we leave the EU, then they're going to revert. Everything is going to revert to how it used to be then. The 1940s better. Because the world's not like that anymore. So of course it won't. But isn't that obvious? If you'd thought about it for just a second. Joe says, wait until the sun-crusted lever expats get through the 72-hour customs delays and fill our doctors' waiting rooms. There are hundreds of thousands of old people that used to that thought they were going to see out the retirement in Europe. They're going to be coming back here and filling up your GP waiting rooms. That's actually true. Hundreds of thousands of them. If you think it's bad enough getting an appointment now, just wait. Prague, Danny.
Good evening, Nick.
Danny.
I'd like to propose a way out for Boris, rather than a general election, which is stupid, and we're also going to prove. I think Boris should propose a second referendum, and in which there are two options, in the same way as we had two in the first. And the first option is leave without a deal. The second is remain. Remain is not a terminal decision. We can negotiate from within EU membership. But it's just got silly. We're just going to carry on dithering forever.
Yeah.
So let's make a decision. Are we going to leave without a deal, or are we just going to say revoke Article 50 and stay? That's the choice that is now with us.
I can't imagine I can't imagine staying now, though. Can you? I mean, I can't. It's just got to the point.
I think 48% of the population could have 3 years ago, and I think that's probably larger now. Because
I believe that too.
Ago,
yeah, I think it's
3 and a bit years ago. We were all told, well, we all trusted politicians a bit more then, didn't we? And we all thought they're going to sort it out. They're all going to do it for us. Now they have, if you excuse the expression, cocked it up to the nth degree. So now is the time to go back and say, what did we want? We didn't want this. Nobody who voted in that election wanted this. So do we remain or do we leave without a deal? That's the choice before us. And until that's put back to the people, it's not going to get sorted out.
I just can't imagine us staying at this point. I think that we've just got to leave without a deal and damn the torpedoes. You know, to hell with the consequences. We may get significantly poorer. There may be trouble ahead. But I just can't imagine us staying now. Can you?
How can you justify that proposal?
Justify? We're beyond justification, Danny.
No. How do you justify your proposal? We're not beyond justification. We were given a false choice 3 and a bit years ago.
Yeah.
It was like an authoritative figure, the government, coming to us and saying, we're going to give you the option of leaving the EU, and we'll sort it out.
Right, but unfortunately this country now appears to be being run by whoever shouts the loudest. And the people that are shouting the loudest are the people that want to leave, because they...
No, this country... Sorry, I'm not going to shout louder than you. This country is a democracy. This country is run by the people in this country who were misled, who were abused.
Yeah, well, you try telling them that, Danny. Because I've had this conversation every show for 3 years now, and they just don't believe it. It's like the people that voted out. I mean, the people that shout the loudest.
Well, the people who voted out who shout the loudest might not, but they're a vocal minority.
But they're a very, very vocal minority, and
yes,
they're
but
more...
they are still a minority.
Well, I don't think it makes no difference. I just can't. I just cannot conceive of us staying in. I just can't.
Well, we've had suggestions of general election. What is a general election going to do?
Well, it's going to answer a different question entirely. General election will be all sorts of different questions rolled into one, as opposed to the clean and clear.
But what question is it going to answer?
Well, do you want the bearded Beelzebub to be the leader of this country? Will be one of the questions. Do you trust Jeremy Corbyn?
How's that going to solve the problem? And by the way,
it won't. That's what I'm saying. It won't solve the problem.
I supported Corbyn. I think he's been one of the greatest letdowns of one of the greatest letdowns for the Labour Party, one of the greatest assets for the Conservative Party, and I'm very disappointed about that. And I think the other side needs a decent boost, and we need to kick Corbyn out now. But that's beside the point.
Well, I don't know. I mean, what has he said? What has he said that has been so bad? I think he's just been subject to one of the greatest campaigns against a politician in the living memory by the right-wing press.
Well, I'd agree with that, but I don't think he's had anything reasonable to say about Brexit policy. But you still haven't answered my question, Nick. What is a general election actually going to do to work towards the solution of the mess that we're in?
Well, I have answered your question. It won't. It had nothing to do with it, because it would be answering a different question.
So a general election won't serve any purpose. Well,
it won't serve any purpose to answer the question whether we want to be in or out, because it's a different question that people will be asked. I thought I said that already.
But I'm talking about the mess that we're in, and it's gone on. It's
Way
gone
too
on
long.
for far too long. Yeah. So my solution, as I said at the beginning, to sort that out is to go back to the people, back to us, and say, ask the simple question. We were given two options in the first place. We're given two options now. Do you want to stay in the EC or the E whatever it's called now, or do you want to leave without a deal?
Right. You want a second referendum?
We should have a second referendum.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to fly.
Yes, indeed. Of course we should at this point.
Shoulda, coulda. I think that we're beyond that now. I think that this country is on is on the route to out, no matter what. I just can't imagine us going through all of that again. I just can't. It is beyond imagining. But anyway, Danny, thanks a lot, mate. What a clear line. He came through clear as a bell. A landline, I bet, from Prague, or wherever that is. 0345 6060 973, Friday and Saturday night at 10. Nick Abbott, LBC.
Hear Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Are you trying to be funny? Because I'm all out of laughs.
Becky tweets, I took the time to see where my fresh food came from this evening ahead of this pending food shortage, and it was all grown right here in the UK, with the exception of the beans that came from Kenya. Not in the EU. Few, says Becky. Oh, well, then we're all right. Nothing to worry about. Nick says, that's not true, sir. No way have prices gone up by 20%. Where did you read that? Well, I didn't read it anywhere, Nick, and neither did I say it. You ain't listening very clearly, are you? I said that the value of the pound has gone down by 20%, but that prices have not because of a massive price war by the retail giants. Plus, they also, buy ahead of time at fixed prices. But when it all unwinds, just wait. Ragwin tweets, are the EU aware that 70% of undersea Atlantic internet cables to the USA go through the UK? Well, what's that got to do with anything? What, we're going to prevent them from getting the internet? It's war. Patricia says, just got my 2 times weekly delivery from Iceland, and the food bill has gone up by 25% since I came back from my 2-week holiday in Greece. By the way, the minimum wage in Greece is €3.20. And Ross says, we did know what we voted for. This is not Brexit. This mess is our rubbish politicians. We haven't left, so nobody knows how it will go. Well, how's it going so far?
Oh, fabulous.
Maid of Ale, Enrique.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
How you doing?
All right.
That's good. I've just literally trying to do some things around the house while you were.
Oh, yes.
Anyway, very, very good.
Things?
By the way.
Things around the house? What does that mean?
I was told a couple of weeks ago by somebody that phoned in that your beeps and bleeps and little kind of scenarios weren't very good and they were old and whatever else. I think actually they're brilliant, and I think you've been doing some new and fresh ones, and I really appreciate it. So my opening gambit is love your show.
Okay, thanks, Enrique. But?
Yeah, and okay, well, not but. So I was thinking about this. So we are intractable when it comes to this issue about Brexit, it feels like. So my kind of proposition question kind of thing was, let's imagine it's done. Let's imagine it's finished. We've moved on.
Yeah.
5 years, 10 years, whatever. And let's imagine Corbyn, I don't know, let's say he comes in first and then it moves on. And then, so let's imagine we go socialist. So let's imagine Britain is now a socialist place.
Yeah, what it is, kind of.
Well, let's imagine it is actually. So we moved on from the Boris Johnsons and the Etonians and all of those. We've elected a kind of the guy that goes to his allotment and whatever. And now we're this kind of socialist society that everybody's scared about. But imagine we have already done it. So we've done it now, and we've lived in this world whereby, quite like the US was back in, I don't know, 1950s, the golden age of the US, where everything was amazing and we were looking towards the stars, and the highest rate of tax was 96% and 100% even. Anyway, all of those things. But we live in that kind of socialist world. Let's say we're maybe going that way. If we did live that way, what would the Nick Abbot show be in this socialist utopia or dystopia, depending on... Bear in mind, I work in sales, so I'm a capitalist. But if we moved to a world of socialism, does the Nick Abbot show exist? And if it does...
Okay, well, we'll just find out when we get there. Good grief, talk about long-winded. What was that call about? Tina says, you don't have a cold, you have sinusitis. You should have a steamer or sniff some smelling salts, which will clear fluid-filled sacs and relieve you. I'm not being rude, says Tina. No, you're just being disgusting. I do not have fluid-filled sacs. I don't even know what that means, any more than I know what that last caller was about. This is it's a mix between socialism and capitalism in this country. I mean, we're sort of edging towards a more American winner-takes-all kind of capitalism, which is, why many of the people that are behind, or most fervently behind us leaving with no deal, that's what they want. Winner takes all. They're betting against the pound to crash the pound so they can make hundreds of millions of pounds, like they did after the referendum. Hundreds of millions of pounds is what they made. But, most of the things that people hold dear to their hearts about this country are socialist. The NHS, for instance. We all put money in for the benefit of all of us. The police is a socialist construct. So is the army. All of these things. In fact, the more socialism, the happier the people. The higher the tax, the happier the people. You just look at the happiness index. It comes around every single year. And you look at the countries that are always always right at the top of the HAPPY-ness scale, and they're always the ones that pay the most tax, and that with that money, the government protects its citizens, gives them safety nets. And they, when they have babies, the mother and the father take time off, and they have better social care and better health care and all the rest of it. It's always the same blooming countries, and they're always the same ones that are held up as, evil socialist nightmare countries where people pay 50% income tax and so on. Denmark, Sweden, Finland, the perfect 6-foot blonde countries. And the countries conversely that have, that press for ever lower tax, particularly for millionaires and billionaires, have consequently unhappier people. Which would you prefer? I mean, considering that we only go round once, would you rather keep a little bit more money for yourself, with which you can, buy some fast fashion that you'll try on in the shop and then never put on again? Or buy yourself a frothy coffee every day? You'll just fritter it away on nothing at all. But if we all chipped in and used that money for better care in our old age, for instance, to give us all a safety net, then that would make us all happier. But apparently people don't want that. They would rather have the frothy coffee. The whole world's gone insane.
This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbot.
This is absolute tosh.
Yes, hello. I've been waiting for you. Hello.
Let's have a call straight away in Ipswich. Hello, Gary.
Hiya, Nick. How you doing?
I'm great, mate.
We had a good one last week. Sorry, I got a bit out of hand, but, It had to be.
Okay.
The lady from France, I think her name was Sally, saying about specialised pallets and a shortage of trucks and whatever.
Yeah.
And doom and gloom about food shortages. That really is quite a lot of that was rubbish. I've never heard so many disingenuous facts coming through. What I'd like to say about the food supply chain is the hauliers and the shippers, the manufacturers, the growers, all of these people, they're on strict and very tight margins. Profit margins are really tight for these companies. And they're not going to have their governments in Spain, France, Italy, Holland, Belgium holding them up. They want their continuous supply going through. The ports want the continuous supply going through. That there will be no hold-ups and shortages of food because there will not be allowed to do so. Because if you look at what's happening in the States with the haulage industry, so many companies are going bust this year. They can't afford to do that because the jobs and all of the things that go with it are too important. The whole structure has to be kept going. And the reason why companies like car manufacturers, the high street shops, are all struggling and whatever, it's legislation, rules, regulations, the different rules that are coming in for the climate change, and they can't cope with all the numbers of rules and regulations that have grown over the years, and they can't keep up with it. It's all very well being in a government department where you make these rules and then you adhere to them because you're paid by taxpayers' money. If the taxpayers' money is not there, even they will struggle to uphold these rules and regulations.
You know, this sounds like the sort of far right wing. Let's get rid of all the consumer protection rules and regulations, which the far right, most demented Brexiters are yearning for.
No, far from it. The way I see it, a lot of the companies, shareholders, the chairman and the executives and whatever, they're taking far too much money out of these companies and not putting it back into the system. And this is the problem with Europe in general, that there's far too many people that are wealthy and they're not spreading that money around.
What's that got to do with Europe?
Well, what's that got to do with Europe is that they've allowed this to happen over the past 30 years.
You've got to be kidding me. What's that got to do with Europe?
Well, because it has. Because the system has allowed the banking system to take out the money that they want and not put it back into the infrastructure and the actual companies that are involved employing people.
How are they going to prevent that?
Well, you're going to have to look at the whole system.
How can we escape responsibility for that? It's Europe's fault?
No, it's the whole system's fault.
Right. Capitalism, you mean?
It's a system that can't be sustained.
Right, capitalism, you mean?
Well, yeah. If you like, you can call it that. You have to think that these companies, they work on such small margins of profit. You look at the supermarkets that you talk about, that they are working on probably 1 or 2% profit on maybe billions of pounds worth of turnover.
So you would be surprised if the supermarkets were saying that, yes, there will quite possibly be shortages of food and increased prices. You'd be surprised if they were saying that, right?
I would be surprised if the number of supermarkets...
They are saying it. Retailers have warned that there will be shortages of fresh food coupled with potential price rises if there is a no-deal Brexit. The body the body representing supermarkets and other chains told MPs that they couldn't understand why Michael Gove claimed otherwise. Fresh food travelling into...
Why is Mark Carney saying today that a no-deal Brexit won't be as bad as it's being maintained?
No, it said it won't be as bad as they had previously thought if they get a deal.
So you know, it's what you can say one extreme, and I can say another extreme,
No, this isn't
and
me.
neither of us are probably going to be right.
Well, this isn't me, Gary. This is retailers. Fresh
No,
food.
no,
Listen to me. Fresh food travelling into the UK from the EU will not be subject to checks, but delays caused by checks on the French side could mean that perishables such as tomatoes, lettuce, cabbage, cauliflower, and cheese could be hit by delays. Now, I don't mind not having cabbage and tomatoes, but cheese. It will affect fresh food in various ways, availability, shelf life and potentially cost, said the Director of Food and Sustainability of the British Retail Consortium, who I would imagine, Gary, knows a bit more about retail than you or I do.
The supply chain has grown over the years to such a well-oiled machine. It won't change one jot. And as for other goods and whatever...
How can you sit there and say that you disagree with the Director of Food of the British Retail Consortium, that he knows nothing but you do?
Well, I
right, so it's all about belief. And no expert that tells you otherwise is going to chip away at this edifice of belief. It is painful. He said, our assessments based on discussion with our members who move fresh food every day and the likely disruption in Dover and Calais. He said, we modelled that with our members who have told us that there will be disruption to fresh food, as in supermarkets who sell fresh food, Gary, are saying that. But you say otherwise. And what's your background in fresh food?
Well, at the moment.
What?
I'm delivering fresh food at the moment. I've picked up off a ship that's come in from Holland, and I'm now on the road.
Right, so you're a truck driver.
Oh, of course I am.
Well, of course you are. How do I know? Of course. Oh, yeah, it's obvious from your accent. So you're a truck driver, but so you, who just drive a lorry for a living, are in possession of better information than the companies that actually employ you. Well, I can't help you there, Gary. He also warned that there was a basic infrastructure problem with a shortage of those heat-treated wooden pallets required by the EU to move fresh food across the border, which is exactly what that nice Sally was saying earlier on, and you said, oh, no, it isn't. Well, oh, yes, it is. He was asked if the government was stockpiling pallets, and he said no. So we're really, really prepared. Oy. Karen Wheeler, former head of Brexit border delivery at Her Majesty's Revenue and Customs, said even if 80% of trucks got through the Dover and Folkestone to Calais routes by ferry or train, there would still be an issue. She said in June, HMRC assessed that about 50% of trucks could turn up at the port without the correct paperwork for export. She said the French authorities had told HMRC that they might hold those trucks for between 2 and 8 hours if they didn't have the correct customs declarations documents. She said many small businesses might still leave it to the wire to prepare. I bet most businesses aren't remotely prepared for this. I mean, imagine you're running a business and all the grief that you ordinarily have to go through on a daily basis. You'd be working 12, 14-hour days, 7 days a week, and then this on top. It's just too much. Even in the best case, where there was no delay, with 70 to 80% of trucks getting through customs easily, you would still get delays because under those circumstances, because 20% of the 10,000 trucks a day would still cause Calais and Eurotunnel to clog up, said this woman from Karen Wheeler, former head of Brexit border delivery at HMRC. But I guess she knows nothing, Gary. It is like a religion, isn't it? All you have to do is believe. 0345 6060 973. And how can you, by the way, as a trucker, dispute this whole thing about pallets?
How? If you've ever seen the state of the pallets that I use...
Well, and of course I haven't seen the state of the pallets you use. Why would I?
Well, you'll realise some of them are so decrepit and feeble. You think, how can they send fresh food, on these pallets when they're broken? And sometimes they're actually more of a hazard than they're useful.
Okay,
So-
well, I'm never eating anything that doesn't come in a tin again. Okay, thanks a lot, Gary. 0345 6060 973. You can text 84850. Email nick@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, it's at LBC. Friday and Saturday night at 10. Nick Abbott, LBC.
This is LBC. Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Please hold the line. I'm trying to connect you.
Yes, I'm trying to connect the caller in Sevenoaks. Hello, Mark.
Hi. You mentioned Theresa May's deal and no deal without saying they're undemocratic. Don't you respect the votes of the 17.4 million people who voted who voted in the 2017 general election?
No, I don't.
Right, okay.
Because those votes were based on misinformation and lies and stories that were made up by people who sought to profit from the sinking of the pound.
You're talking about the referendum?
Yeah.
Sorry, no, I'm talking about the 2017 general election.
Oh.
In the 2017 general election, 17.4 million people voted for parties in favour of remaining in the customs union and the single market. That's 54%.
Is that true? I mean, you're including Labour in that, right?
Yes, well, their policy in that general election was remaining in a single market and customs union.
Right. Well, okay. As much as they actually had any kind of policy that people could pin down.
Yeah. So I mean that your some of your attitude appears to be you're overwhelmed by the propaganda of the Brexiters. Well,
I am overwhelmed.
Well, but I mean, this is an example of it. I mean, they go on about the 17.4 million who voted one way in the referendum. They forget that there's 17.4 million voting in a way that doesn't suit them in the 2017 general election.
I suppose so, but that wasn't a single issue vote, though, was it? In as much as in a similar way, if we had another general election now, it wouldn't be a deciding vote on this particular issue, because people would be answering all sorts of different questions. Do you want Jeremy Corbyn to be the leader of the country? Do you trust Boris Johnson? Are you a card-carrying Conservative? And there's all sorts of reasons that people would vote one way or the other. So if we really want to sort it out, and I can't imagine that this is what actually happen, but we're going to have we'll have to have a second referendum on this specific issue.
Well, what you say makes sense, but
it does.
Remember that the Brexiters talk about the 2017 general election, and they say that over 80% of people voted to implement Brexit. So by their own argument, what I'm saying works. Now, I mean, I'm not disputing your argument, but what I'm saying is that they are contradicting themselves by the way in which they're arguing, and pointing out how they're doing so in a very propaganda-like way, shamelessly ignoring facts that don't suit them.
Right, well, everyone gets to have their own facts these days, Mark. Keep up.
But what I'm saying is that they're having both a fact and they're treating something two different ways in their own policy, if you see what I mean. I mean, it's not just that they're making up that something is a certain way. They're making up both that it is that way and that it isn't that way.
Yeah, I think it's called having your cake and eating it, which is very popular these days.
Yes, but I mean, you talk about about the chances of having a second referendum. Well, I mean, I think there's a good chance of a hung parliament in the general election, and the current situation politically, I'll be supporting that just like I did in the 2017. And
well, it seems to me that the obvious outcome is a coalition between Labour, the Lib Dems, and perhaps or not the Greenies and maybe the SNPists.
Yes, well, that would suit me. But I mean, if that happens, then you have a coalition that has all agreed that there should be a second referendum.
Right.
I mean, now Labour has come to the decision that there must be a second referendum, even if they negotiate a deal that they like. So,
Well, if we did have a second referendum, then it would put certain individuals back in their box.
We should have a second referendum.
So maybe it would be worth it. Because I don't think I can stand any more of this. Let's just finish it one way or the other. Come on, people. This is excruciating.
Well, I think that view is problematic because it affects a lot of people personally. You see, not very many of the Brexiters actually intend to negotiate trade deals themselves. I doubt too many callers to this show are in that category.
Well, zero, I would think.
Yeah, so, but I mean, removing the freedom of movement affects people personally. I mean, we've had a steady trend of increased personal liberties from easier divorce, abortion, allowing homosexuality, and then having equality and so on over the years, which is great. But now they're saying we had the freedom of movement, meant that we could go and stay with our continental lovers without loads of paperwork and so on and so forth. It effectively expanded our country socially to include the whole of the EU.
Well, when personal freedom is not it doesn't increase in a straight line. I think it's more like steps. It goes up a bit and then maybe goes down a bit. You like one step forward, occasionally two steps back, and we seem to be in a stepping back phase at the moment. And all of these freedoms that people have got used to and now expect, you have to don't get comfortable in that because it can be taken away from you at a moment's notice.
But I mean, what I'm saying is that people are going to be fighting against that. So when you say get it over with, for example, Theresa May's deal, but Theresa May's deal doesn't allow freedom of movement. So you're going to have all the people who are affected by this or who want to have that freedom anyway so they can study and visit abroad as they like. They're not going to stop fighting for that freedom to stop it being taken away from them just because somebody's done something officially.
But I don't believe all that it's going to stop freedom of movement because it will, because the country's economy depends on people coming here to do jobs that we don't want to do, obviously. And there's just no getting around it. If we have only, 3 point whatever it is % unemployment, that's what economists call full employment. You always need a pool of available labour for businesses to expand. And so there isn't a giant group of long-term unemployed people just lying around and availing themselves of benefits. So all of the people that come here are doing jobs that need to be done. And if they don't do them, we ain't going to do them. We're not going to bend over double in a field for 10 hours a day pulling turnips out the ground. Of course we're not. Neither we're going to stay up all night and clean offices or be traffic wardens or any of these jobs that British people don't want to do. So if we want the economy to keep ticking over, if we want to keep enjoying the lifestyle that we've got, people are going to have to come here. And politicians can say it till they're blue in the face that they're going to stop freedom of movement. Oh, no, they won't. Oh, no, they won't. Oh, no, they won't.
I think you're confusing immigration with freedom of movement. What these politicians are talking about is allowing people to come here who have jobs and to work here, but not necessarily to stay here for a long time. And when people do move about and have jobs, they form relationships and so on. And the lack of freedom of movement makes that complicated for them. Whereas if we had freedom of movement in the sense that the EU has, then all of that would work automatically without the sort of difficulties that some people have. I mean, lots of people ring up LBC on the legal hour talking about the difficulty they have getting their wife and child to come to this country.
Well, I know exactly what that's like. My brother went through that.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, if he had a family in the EU, then he would have none of that trouble because it would be automatic that they could come here.
Yeah, well, everybody should keep their hands to themselves.
Disgusting.
And then, problem solved. Ian, Mark, I'm going to have to go, but thanks for that. 0345 606 0973. It is, once we get through this and, whatever happens next, there's going to be a lot of very disappointed people because they think they voted for something, primarily being surrounded by fewer foreigners, and that's not what they're going to get. And I wonder what's going to happen then. I mean, not immediately, of course, because they'll be in expectation of things improving, as far as they're concerned. But it won't, as evidenced by the fact that more people come here from outside the EU than from inside the EU. And so, at the very least, what will happen is that, as I've said many times before, people will not have a white Eastern European as their next door neighbour. They will have a black African or Jamaican as their next door neighbour. And if that's what Brexiters voted for, then I'm a Knickerbocker glory. I could do with one of those right now, as a matter of fact. 0345 6060 973. Sunita says, why are Leavers screaming that they want democracy, but in the same breath they want dictatorship by shutting out Parliament? I'm confused, says Sunita. Yeah, me too. Don't try to come up with a rhyme or reason, because there ain't none. Peter tweets, this is the beginning of a new right-wing era. The left have done enough damage, and the right wing now have to put everything back together. You've got to be kidding me. Pete says, people who voted to leave didn't know what they were voting for. Probably the same as the people who voted to join 46 years ago. And Sue tweets, Nick, if you became leader of the Labour Party, I'd vote for you. Well, thanks a lot, Sue. I'll bank your support. Watford. Hello, Andrew.
Hello.
Andrew.
You said earlier that a second general election wouldn't solve anything. I beg to differ.
Well, it wouldn't solve the problem about whether we want to be in or out of the EU.
No, I get that, yeah, but it would solve part of the issue. We know where the Lib Dems stand, we know where Conservatives stand, we sort of know where Labour stand. So whichever one you vote for is what sort of Brexit you're going to end up getting.
No, but people won't vote for just Brexit issues.
Yeah, I know, but they're going to vote. Yeah, they're going to vote on other issues as well.
Yeah.
But some people will just vote on Brexit. So if the Lib Dems getting, you're going to get sort of like a soft Brexit or just end up remaining.
Yeah, but it wouldn't solve the issue because it would be about other issues.
No, because they would end up doing a second referendum. So whatever they decide will be on the referendum bill anyway, or whatever Parliament decides, if we can trust them.
You lost me. So what was the point of the general election then? Let's just have the second referendum.
Well, no, you'd end up. There's going to be another general election anyway, isn't there?
Eventually,
But the way things are going, yeah. Boris Johnson's screwed up anyway. Between Boris Johnson and Jacob Rees-Mogg, they've both screwed up the Conservative Party completely. So they're out unless something happens. Right?
Or unless something doesn't happen, in which case they remain in.
Yeah.
But I would agree with that assertion that they have screwed up the Conservative Party, who quite possibly are going to be out of power for, a decade?
Quite a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. So forget about the Conservative Party. The Labour Party, they're out as well. Nobody's going to vote for Jeremy Corbyn, are they?
Well, that's not true at all. And I think Jeremy Corbyn's travails are, twofold. First, that he doesn't appear to be a kind of person that is the natural leader of a political party. I mean, he's a campaigner, and he may well be a good local MP. I mean, the people, his constituents seem to think so, because he's been representing them for long enough. But he's not got that. He's not got it. He's not. He hasn't got charisma. But what he says seems to chime with the general public, as long as you don't tell the general public that it was Jeremy Corbyn that said it.
Well, yes, this is true, but I also think he was a bit of an idiot this week when he said he didn't want to walk into Boris Johnson's trap. What he should have done was walk straight into the trap and then used it against him in the election battles.
No, but I don't think that a general election is going to solve the issue at hand.
Well, no, it won't solve the issue at hand, but it would solve part of the issue.
No, I think it's an either-or. The only way to solve this issue at the moment is either we just get taken out and that's the end of it, or it goes back to the people. And if it's a vote to decide, then it can't be held as a general election, because that's a vote to decide other things. If it is going to get put back to the people, then it has to be in the form of a second referendum, which I cannot imagine happening. But then, if you told me a month ago where we'd be now, I wouldn't have believed that either. God, what a way to run a country, eh?
Dreadful.
0345 6060 973. Friday and Saturday night at 10, Nick Abbot, LBC. It's 12:30. God, don't time fly when you're out of your mind. The news headlines with Andy Ivey.
Boris Johnson.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott.
Thank you for holding. Your call is important to us.
Here's an important call in Vancouver. Hello, Nick.
Oh, hi, Nick.
Nick.
I was. It just gets crazier and crazier.
Don't it just?
I understand from this.
You must be delighted to be thousands of miles away.
I've tried to explain to my Canadian friends, look, you can't understand Boris Johnson until you read Down with School, which we always thought was a parody. But the parody turns out to be just a documentary book on life.
Yeah.
But I was ringing up to say I drove down across an international border from Canada to the US yesterday to pick up some Amazon packages. It took me close to 2 hours each way, along with every other driver, truck driver and everybody else, to get across the line. Because of the trucks, because they all get lined up, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them. They all get x-rayed, they all have their papers taken. And this is the model that the government in the UK is saying is better than no deal. This is the thing that is going to save the UK, is the Canadian-US model. And there are times when it's been 8 to 10 hours delay, where when you get on the website to see how long it'll take you to go down to the States to pick up your mail, it just says, don't bother, because
Nick,
you're not going to get there.
But Nick, don't Amazon deliver in Canada?
Yes, but here's the thing. If you want your $5 stereo plugs delivered the 10 extra miles from the US to Canada, it'll cost you anywhere from an extra $20 to $50.
What?
So every single Canadian I know that lives close enough to the US, what you do is you get every small American town along the Canadian-US border exists basically for post office boxes for Canadians. There are hundreds of thousands of companies that do nothing but take mail from Amazon and eBay and hold on to it, and you drive down there, and because of the time scale it takes to get down there, what you do is you end up you wait until you've got 4 or 5 packages down there, because it's going to take you a couple of hours to get down there, so you want to save at least $200-300 before you make the drive.
So you're actually breaking the law, because you would have to pay the tax, you would think.
No,
ordinarily.
It's not tax, it's the brokerage fees. And this is what the kipper numpties don't understand. It's not just the tariffs. Everything that comes from France to Britain, if it's the same as Canada to the US and vice versa, everything has to be opened and checked by somebody. It doesn't have to be a government agent. It could be a customs broker, but they charge a fee for that. So the fee to stop the thing, put it into a warehouse, wait to get it checked, have it checked, passed on across the line, put onto a separate truck on the other side of the line and sent to me, can add anywhere, not always. Sometimes you'll look up stuff and it costs the same either way. I don't know what the difference is. And then other times you look up and it's $50 extra to get it delivered to in my case, to get it delivered 10 extra miles, because that's how far I am away from my mailbox in the States.
And all this so you can get your stereo up and working.
Groovy. Yeah, stuff like that. Just little things. Like I said, you wait until you've got 4 or 5 packages to go pick up, and then you go pick them up, and you spend your 4 or 5 hours down there. You do a little shopping. You get some cheap pork. I picked up $32 worth of pork, which is like half a pig. So if you think pig farmers in Britain are going to survive American pork, you've got another thing coming. It's about 10 cents a pound.
Wow.
Was that 5p a pound?
Good grief!
I shall be making sausages tomorrow by the kilo.
You don't make handmade sausages, do you?
I do actually. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I like the London style of sausage with a lot of ginger and mace and pepper in. You can get good Italian sausages here, but you can't get good British sausages. There's not really any call for them.
Right.
So I make my own English sausages. It's one of my few sort of little reminders that I am still an expat.
OK, well, I'll see you at the breakfast table. I'll bring the beans. How does that sound? All right. Thanks a lot, Nick. 0345 6060 973. Pete texts. People who voted Leave didn't know what they were voting for. I don't know, I've read that. Mary says, soon it'll be autumn. Lots of leeks, sprouts and rabbits. Who needs food from Europe? Well, leeks, maybe, from Wales. Rabbits from, well, here, there and everywhere, baby. But sprouts? Brussels sprouts. Why are they called Brussels sprouts, by the way? What's it got to do with Brussels? It was a call in Newcastle. Hello, Chris.
Hello.
Chris.
How you doing?
Good, thanks.
Lovely to speak to you. Thank you very much for taking my call. What I was going to say was, at this point in time in our history, we have so many social media and points of information and all the things that you can get with facts, and it really upsets me the fact that so many people don't appear to kind of take that on board, if that makes sense. They'd rather believe the sun.
Oh,
yeah.
boy.
Do you know what I mean? Like we're in such a great point of time where you have so many points where you can just get all the information that you need, the right information.
You used to have to get your hat, coat, scarf and gloves and go down to the library. Do you remember that?
This is it, yeah.
Now all that information comes to you. It gets squirted up your computer. And do people actually pay any attention? No, they just make it up.
No, you had 4 TV channels and you had a few newspapers and they give you the information.
Yeah.
There you go. And people still do that. You know, you saw Jeremy Corbyn on the front of the Sun the other day. He's a chicken. I don't believe he's a chicken. I think he's Peter Blinder. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's just unbelievable that so many people have phoned your programme and other programmes like on LBC and other things, that it's just like, what are you talking about? What are you looking at? What is it that you're missing that everybody else is seeing and making us feel like we're wrong?
I think we're living in Donald Trump's world now, where facts don't mean anything anymore. Everyone gets to have their own facts.
Yeah. And also as well, it's like, I was a Remainer. I am a Remainer. Not was, I am. But I'd be more than happy to stand here right now if it was blatantly obvious now at this point in time, or even after, if we were supposed to leave, and say, yeah, okay, I was wrong. It's so good. Yeah, I should have voted leave. The fact that so many people are still so adamant, no, we need to leave, when it's so obvious that we shouldn't.
Well, it's a religious fervour. I think it's beyond facts. It's got nothing to do with facts anymore. It's do you believe? Do you believe in the I don't know, our coming
just
freedom?
The rubbish. just the rubbish. Basically, I'm going to believe whatever I want, and whatever. Well, we have to leave no matter what. Doesn't matter. It's just ridiculous, and the fact that there's so many people who just believe whatever they read in newspapers, when we know the newspapers are full of rubbish anyway.
But how can you imagine this is going to end? I mean, aren't you just tired of it already?
Yeah, absolutely sick and tired of it. I wish it had never happened.
So if we have a second referendum, then we're going to have months more of this, and then years of complaining afterwards, because that's not going to really sort it out. I mean, the people that are complaining loudly now are going to be even more vociferous afterwards, regardless.
No, I think
we just got to get... at this point, I think that we're like the parents of a child who's throwing a strop in the supermarket because mummy didn't buy him a chocolate-covered sugar bomb. And I think we just got to give up and give them their sweets, so they'll just shut up till we get them home. And then they'll get a damn good thrashing.
Quite possibly so. But I think it's just, David Cameron's got a lot to be said for himself.
Yes, he does.
I never heard, just one last thing, sorry, Nick, but one last thing. I never heard anybody before this referendum ever say to me, whether it was my friends, in the workplace, anywhere, say, do you know what we need to do? We need to leave the EU.
Yeah, nobody ever
Never heard it once.
No.
Never heard it once.
That's right.
All of a sudden, it's the biggest thing in the world, and nobody knows what they're talking about. Nobody has an idea, but everyone knows what it's all about. It's ridiculous, and I'm just sick of it. But
right.
the best thing we can do is just stay. Thanks, Nick, so much for giving me a call.
Okay, thanks a lot, Chris. Yeah, it's all your fault, Dave.
I think this is nonsense.
Yeah, we're still not missing you, by the way, but we know where to find you if we do. You'll be in the shed where they keep the tools. This says, why aren't you mentioning the recent YouGov poll that showed that 72% of people were in favour of a no-deal package? But no, you don't want to hear that, do you? Rubbish. 72% of people are in favour of no deal. Garbage. Where on earth did you read that? Nonsense, man. You're talking rubbish. Unless you aren't, in which case I take it back. Well, what was the question? Okay, first of all, I don't believe that 72% of people would agree on anything. But what was the actual question? Do you want no deal, or shall I bore a hole in your head with an electric drill? Was that the question? Joseph said, I've never seen the inside of a cockpit of a plane, but since we don't need experts anymore, who needs a pilot when I can fly it? Well, that's a good point, Sir Joseph. And Ted says, I would take passion over logic any day. Logic only tells you what you can do. Passion tells you what you can do. What? Shall I read that again?
No.
He says, I would take passion over logic any day. Logic only tells you what you can do. Passion tells you what you can do. That's probably not what he intended, but that's what he wrote. Always check before hitting send. Or to hell with it. 0345 6060 973. You can text 84850. Email nick@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. Let me remind you about my podcast. It's called The Nick Abbot Habit. It's the best of this show. It's my favourite calls. And the most recent one has got just the best call. It's one of my favourite calls of all time. It's a guy from Jamaica, old guy from Jamaica, who is schooling me in ganja and Bob Marley and, plenty else besides, stumps and just loads of other things. So that's one of the calls. It is one of my favourite calls ever. And the podcast is called The Nick Abbot Habit. Download Global Player from your app store, and that's our app. It has all the stations that we do here, Heart and Classic and Capital and all the rest of them, including LBC, and many, many podcasts as well. If you go down to the Global Podcasts section, you can do a search in the search bar on Nick Abbott. You'll come up with two. One is the show in full, and the other is the half-hour best of. It's called the Nick Abbott Habit. If you don't do apps, then just point your computer at an internet near you and ask for it by name, the Nick Abbott Habit.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott. Call 0345 6060 973. Tweet @LBC. Text 84850.
Come on, we're running late!
Ollie texts, Nick, you're a delude moron. Extreme left promotional your show is. Let me read that again. Ollie says, Nick, you're a delude moron. Extreme left promotional your show is. Oh my God. It's like I've got Yoda writing into me now. Stupid moron you are. Andrew says, no, Nick, Brexit voters did not vote primarily, as you said, to be surrounded by less foreigners. In virtually all the studies, the number one reason was regaining sovereignty, i.e. control of our laws. Please stop with the fake news already. Oh, give me a break, Andrew. That's because when presented with a man with a clipboard, you don't want to say, well, I don't like people coming over here. Do you? Regain sovereignty and control of our laws. God, the amount of times that I've had people calling in and saying just that, well, we want to, get rid of all them EU laws. And I'll say, well, like which one, for instance? And the answer is always the same. And it is all of them. In other words, they've got no blooming idea. Do me a favour. Portsmouth. Hello, Michael.
Hiya, Nick. Just felt compelled to ring, basically, to answer a few questions, but primarily that one you've just asked. I'm a Brexiteer. I have my own company, run it over Belgium, Holland, the UK, South America, and the Far East. And here's one for you. The alcohol tax, we can't change that. So we've got a huge problem with alcoholics, leading to strain on the NHS, etc., as we do with tobacco. We've rose the price of tobacco and the duty on that, and the number of smokers is going down. If we want to rise the duty on cheap alcohol that's sold at supermarkets, etc., we can't.
Of course we can.
Because you say no, we can't. We can't.
Of course we can.
You can't rise. You can't put a levy on wine, for example. We couldn't just put another 20% on a bottle of wine.
Well, why does...
Because that's EU legislation.
No, well, why do our the Chancellor of the day, how does he raise the price of booze then? Every time
because he's got
there's a budget.
Because it's within his sort of flexibility.
Right,
that's all.
So we
he
can.
He couldn't go over the top. No, but you couldn't write. You couldn't put it up to an extent that.
But
it would
neither would the people want that, Michael.
Well, you don't want less homeless people drinking cheap cider.
It wouldn't make the slightest bit of difference unless you raise unless you raise the price of alcohol to an unsustainable level.
Like we've done with cigarettes, and the number of smokers is at a record low. Wouldn't work.
Yeah, but the cigarettes and booze is two completely different things.
They're both two huge factors that put strain on the NHS.
Well, regardless of that, no politician, no political party is going to back raising the price of alcohol to the extent that people wouldn't be able to afford it anymore because no one would vote for them.
Okay, but it's an example of something we could change.
Well, but we won't, though.
No, okay, that's fine. But okay, let's agree to disagree on that one.
Well, let's agree that I'm right.
in what? In what? That a politician wouldn't do that?
Yes. No politician would do that.
How do you know that?
Well, have they done it already?
Of course they would.
Have they done it already? No, they haven't.
Doesn't mean it's not right.
I'm not saying that it's
because it hasn't.
Oh, God.
Just because it hasn't been done.
Who said it's right or not? I'm talking about the politicians' electability. If a politician said that they were going to raise the price of alcohol to the extent that people wouldn't be able to afford it anymore, no one will vote for them.
Sorry,
no one will vote for them. Anyway, what else have you got, Michael? God.
Okay, what else have I got? Let's just go with democracy. We had the vote. It's not been accepted by Remainers and MPs on the basis that it was, lies, fabricated on lies, etc.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Here's a lie. How about the Chancellor of the Exchequer saying that the moment we vote that we'd go into a recession? Never happened.
Well, I don't think anybody said that the moment we would vote. People rewrite history and say, well, politicians were saying that if we vote out, then the country will flip upside down and burst into flames. And look, nothing happened. They'll say, it's just painful. Nobody said that.
True, it's factual. Yeah, George Osborne did. You can check it on YouTube, Nick. But I wouldn't fabricate it. I watched it the other day. But not only that. What about
what other things that George Osborne has ever said do you stand by? Nothing.
No, but I'm just proving that there were lies from both ends.
Yeah, but no one's disputing. No one is disputing that. No one's disputing that there were lies on both ends.
So why don't you accept the result then?
Because there were lies on both ends.
Right, like there are every general election and anything else we vote on, aren't there? Jeremy Corbyn's manifesto for the last general election was that they were going to back the referendum. They haven't.
Painful.
So was that another lie? It is painful because it's truthful. The truth does hurt.
The truth about lies hurts.
The manifesto. How do you explain that to me?
So this is more of that what about stuff. It's excruciating. Honestly, I can't bear it anymore. Oh well, we got to accept the referendum, and I know that there were lies, but what about all these other lies? As though that excuses it. People didn't know what they were voting for because they were told that if they voted out, then we were going to be richer. We were going to be happier. There was going to be fewer of us here. And all of that stuff was completely untrue, Michael, as you know.
The lack of food, for example, Nick, that civil service document was based on the fact of our situation right now, that we wouldn't be able to get food immediately from Europe, etc.
No, the people that have said that there's going to be a lack of food are the actual retailers.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying that. That's because they haven't got different trade agreements at the moment with other outside the EU. So naturally there'd be a shortage. But if, for example, same with the medicine, the two largest producers of all narcotics and anything to do with pharmaceuticals, is America and India. So everyone's saying we're going to have a medicine shortage, but that's because we haven't currently got to deal with America and India. Once we have, we'll have cheaper medicine.
You think we were going to get cheaper medicine from America? Michael, what you know about the American...
From India.
India, okay.
From India, then.
Well, why did you mention America?
Because I just mentioned that they're larger than Europe in the supply of pharmaceuticals.
Well,
as is India.
Okay.
So we've got options.
All right. So there's going to be no problems of any kind whatsoever. So I don't really know what people are complaining about. The sunny uplands are just around the corner. God, it's going to be marvellous. Struth. Let's have Brighton. John.
Why people think it's anything to do with whatever they voted for.
Who are you talking about?
Why they think that they're going to have any say in any of it.
Who's they?
Hello?
you talking to me or somebody else? You talking to me?
Hello.
Well, there's nobody else.
No, I didn't. Hello, I didn't hear you connect to the phone.
Oh yeah, we're connected.
Sorry about that. No, it's just I wanted to say that all this mess is about the Tories. It's created by the Tories. It's stopped by the Tories, by the ERG group. You know, it's just ridiculous. What have they been doing for the past 3 years on the deal?
I don't know. I think it's probably all the fault of the Labour Party that have been driving this country into the ditch for the past 9 years that they've been in control. Oh no, wait a minute. That's right, they haven't.
No, I mean it's just what did they? I mean David Davis and all these Brexit ministers. Where are they now? What did they actually do for 3 years? I don't. You know, how has it ended up in 1 week with a new Prime Minister? All his votes have he's lost. He's like going on rambling speeches where he's saying he wants to be dead in the ditch because it's all falling apart. The Lords and Parliament are voting down these bills to say we can't leave. Yeah, it's just incredible.
It is amazing. Yeah, what bizarre times we're living through. But
the thing is, what I don't understand is why people think it's about whatever they think it's about, whatever issues they've got about Brexit or Europe, because it's all about the Tories. It's not about them. It's not about whatever they thought, whether it's immigration or bringing back powers or anything. It's about the Tories. It's about their own infighting, their own civil war. As you see what's going on, you've got a Prime Minister that's just sacked 21 MPs.
With hundreds of years of service to the Conservative Party behind them, and he sacked them in his first week. The stuff that's going on is just mind-bending. Yeah, John, I'm going to have to go, but thanks for that. Yeah, it's mystifying, ain't it?
Yeah. Wait a minute.
Sheldon says, the Scottish increased the tax on units of alcohol. That is correct. They did exactly that. But not so much so that people couldn't afford it anymore. I mean, if you're really going to stop people from being indigent and being alcohol dependent by dint of price rises, then you're going to have to raise it to such a degree that nobody will vote for you at all. So politicians aren't going to do that. They'll tinker and raise it by 50p a unit or whatever it was that it went up by in Scotland, and it won't make no difference. Mike says the EU booze tax is based on a different tax rate between retail and bars. You have to charge the same, but we can set our own rate. Sue says it's painful. The average reading age in 2019 is 11. I think that's actually true. Which is why certain newspapers only have words of one syllable. Well, what might happen between now and this evening at 10 o'clock? God, it could be anything. Who knows what might happen between now and then? But I do know that we'll chew it up and we'll spit it out then, eh? In the meantime, if you download our app, then you will be able to enjoy my podcast, The Nick Abbot Habit, which comes out every Monday, in amongst all the other delights that you'll find on there. And coming up at 5, Steve Allen will set you straight, but right now it's Matt Stadler.
Hey, Nick, I've got a question for you that I'm eager to know the answer to.
What's your query?
My query is whether you've ever wondered what would actually happen were Brexiteers to take power themselves. I can give you a clue if that would help.
Yes, please. Can I have a clue?
The clue is bullying, lying, arrogance, disloyalty, smugness, slouching, desperation, and chaos. Does that help?
I'll vote for that.
Thank you very much indeed. Enjoy your Saturday. Later we'll be talking about scientists, Sir David Attenborough, whether religion should be taught in schools. We'll be talking about booze in supermarkets and saving our pubs. But first, do you think Corbyn's a chicken for not agreeing to Johnson's timetable for a general election?